So, yeah. No point asking me what do they want, because I don't know. So, yes, we are playing Battle Brothers. I hope the sound and all the audio, everything is like that. The last time I played Battle Brothers, all the music was switched off. That's back from the days when I didn't do music because of my fear of copyright strikes. I don't care as much anymore. Well, I do care, I'm just less worried about it. So, yes, we are going to do new campaign. So these are the new origins that you have. Rebuilding a company is like the standard start, where you begin with 3 soldiers and also a mission, which is to go after Hogarth. You can build a new company, which is entirely from scratch. You start with 3 experienced mercenaries, but that's it. You got the peasant militia, which I was very tempted by, where you start with a roster of 12 poorly equipped peasants. You can take up to 16 into battle. I think the usual limit is 12. I can have up to 25 in your roster. I think the usual is huzzah, like 20 or something like that. You cannot however, hire anyone that is not a lowborn peasant. No restrictions on how you equip them or anything like that. It's just purely numbers and quality of the people. Like later on you can hire disgraced nobles and people like that who tend to start with much better stats. You can be a band of poachers, which you start with 3 woodsmen. You move faster and can always get a scouting report from enemies near you. I was very tempted by this, but I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more on brand for the Mordlings and Mordred Viking and all of that stuff. However, you can also carry less items in your inventory. I think if I was playing this just on my own, just because of how I like playing games, I like having a lot of missile units, I probably would have done the Band of Poachers. I'm slightly surprised this doesn't give you any penalties for like trading with the nobles, because they really don't like poachers. Trading caravan. You start with 2 caravan hands in your employ. So I think that's basically 3 people, maybe even just 2 people, I'm not sure. You're a trader, so you get 10% better prices for buying and selling. However, you are not a warrior, so you get you start with no renown, and you get renown at half the normal rate. I think renown is basically when the noble houses will start actually working with you. But you have the potential to get a lot more money and therefore a lot better quality equipment, which is kind of cool. Beast Slayers. Start with 3 Beast Slayers and decent equipment, as well as some Beast Trophies, and I do like the icon here. You're basically one of the Great Swords, be it a Empire Greatsword or a Mettenheim Greatsword. Expert Trackers, they can see tracks from further away. Each beast you slay has 25% chance to drop an additional trophy. Trophies, I think, are used in the crafting system. However, people are prejudiced, because this is basically The Witcher. Most people don't trust your kind, so you get 10% worse prices. Deserters. Start with 3 deserters and decent armor, but lower funds, and a noble house that wants to hunt you down, so you start at war, basically, with one of the nobles. Your men are always first to act in the very first round of combat. I somewhat thought that happened anyway. I think the main thing here is you start with just better quality gear, because you're ex-soldiers. Cultists. You start with a group of 4 cultists and poor equipment. More cultists may flock to you for free. And Dravkul will occasionally demand sacrifices from you, but will also bestow boons upon those loyal to him. Don't know exactly what this means about the sacrifices, but if you're into that type of thing, it could be interesting. Northern Raiders, this was one of the options in the vote. You start with 3 experienced barbarians. You have a higher chance of getting any items from slain enemies as loot, so you can get more gear. Like, you can pinch more gear, which also means you can sell stuff more easily, effectively. However, you are outlaws, so you start with bad relations with most human factions. You need to kind of build those relations up by working with them, which means breaking into like new regions will be very difficult for them. And then we have the Lone Wolf. You start with a single experienced hedge knight with great equipment but low funds. You can never have more than 12 men in your roster. I had forgotten about that restriction. And if the hedge knight dies, the campaign ends. So I do have a poll up at the moment, and this is like your last opportunity to get your votes in, so please do make sure you vote for that. Troubleshooter, thank you very much for the tier 1 resubscription. 2 months now, nice one. And speaking of the 2 months, we've also got Captain Irritant with a resub for 2 months with Switch Prime. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I very much appreciate that. Those of you who are subscribers now have access to the new emotes, which I know certain people in chat are already playing with. The new ones is Mordred Disappointed. Where's that one not coming up? Hello? Ah, there it is. We've got Mordred T. We've got Mordred thumbs up. And those are the new like base level ones. Then if you are a tier 2 sub, you also get the profit as well for the profit. So the base level is T, thumbs up, disappointed, and then also the logo. If you're a second tier, it's all of those plus the for the profit. And if you're a tier 3 top tier, then you also, of course, get wrangle. So that's how things work right now. I really do wish that for the profit was one of the base levels. Hopefully when I become a partner, if I ever become a partner, I'll add that and change the two tier 2 and tier 3 ones. But right now, that's just what I'm limited to, so that's what you're getting. Anyway, okay, I think it's time that I can have a look at the vote and see how this has gone. Let's just reload that real quick. Glad to see so many of you voted. This is excellent. So in last place, with 8% of the vote, we have the Mercenary Company. In third place, with 8 votes, we have the Trading Caravan, which would have been interesting, but I get why it didn't get as many votes, because I don't think there's as much emphasis on combat with the Trading Caravan. There'd be a lot of moving between cities rather than necessarily doing the contracts. Northern Raiders came second, and I'm a little bit surprised by that. I'd actually kind of expected the Northern Raiders to win, because they're the most on brand for like Vikings. But that does mean that in first place, with 47% of the votes, it's a fair old chunk there, we have the Lone Wolf. So the Lone Wolf is, of course, gonna be me. Because, you know, I'm the boss. Company name. Maudlings. They are named after me, after all. So we can have the hand. I'm just going to flick through these real quick. I already know which one I want. Although that one's very Viking. I do like... That's like super Viking. I do like that. That's interesting. I hadn't actually tweaked that one before, and that one is as well. No, I already know which one I want. That one. I really like that icon. Just go through the other options just so you can see what's available. And then Teutonic Order. I think I've played with that one before as well. And that was the beginning one. So we're going to go with the swords. Because I used to run a guild called Stormwind, and this was basically our crest. It wasn't 3 swords through a crown, it was 1 sword through a crown. And it also was blue and red, but the bottom stripe went straight down rather than it being an X. A Saltaire. I even know the official name of that. Anyway, that's suspiciously close to what my crest used to look like. So I'm quite pleased with that. Late Game Crisis, I'm going to leave that one on random. Permanent Destruction. Yes, I guess we'll leave that. And then the map seed, in case you want to play with this map as well in the future, is going to be Vikings. T even has the blue cup. Yep, it was specifically chosen to do this. So if you hear the now copyrighted sound, which is the clink and the gluk 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 gluk, I want to see T just spammed through chat. By the way, I want to see if you notice when I do that. Okay, so we're the Vikings with the Maudlings. Economic difficulty. I think I'm going to switch everything to veteran. Huzzah! Inazuma, thank you very much for the 6 months Twitch Prime resub. Thank you very much for that. Hello, Mordred. I think this will be fun to see everyone dying. Everyone is definitely going to die. There is going to be a high turnover in this, by the way. Probably. And then starting funds, I think we will stick with medium. So, balanced, experienced. Veteran is recommended for veterans of the game of the genre. And then recommended for veterans of the game of the genre. We will stick with that. Don't forget you're a mercenary, not a hero now. I know. I'm a heroic mercenary. And I'm definitely not playing Iron Man. I don't like Iron Man. Although for this, I think it would kind of make sense. Drag and drop men in the inventory screen to where you want them in your formation. Yeah, so you can put your shield wall up front and then your shooters at the back. Now, the last time I played this, I remember getting absolutely destroyed by undead. I don't think it was the invasion or anything. It was just undead. I had a really hard time against them. So we'll see how it goes this time. Come on, Mordred, true lone wolf. No. I mean, part of the reason I like Battle Brothers is because I can name people after subscribers and patrons. So if you wish to see your name appearing in one of these games, the best way to do that is to become a patron or a Twitch sub. And if you want to check out the Patreon, you can find that at patreon.com/MordredViking. Mods, that's your cue. How long is this game? It can go on for a while. Although there are many loss ways of losing. You walk through the stands of a jousting arena. Moldy fruits and vegetables litter the floor. Dried blood flipping hell. This is one of those days where I need to be able to read coherently, and I'm already failing. Dried blood freckles the seats and silence fills the air. When you sit, the wood of the place seems to groan in unison as though discomforted by the haunt of a rare visitor. In your hands is a note. Looking for hardy men. Knowledge of the sword preferred, but all welcome. It's an old note. Its purpose long since served, but what draws your eye is the price offered to the task. More crowns than you could muster in 5 tournaments. If this coin is to be earned, then to hell with the jousts and the sparring. You're not one to suit up for other captain's orders. With all that you've earned over the years, you can imagine you can start your own mercenary company just fine. And that's what I'll do. So this is Battle Brothers. We start up here in Donnerfest, way up in the north. We've got Hochgrube, Brunwald, Birkeland, Hageland, Eibenwacht, Koppelstadt, Weidtal, Ward, Kronenberg, Schneffels. I've played this map before. This is the map I've done this map before. I'm just going to start a new one. Same settings. But I'm going to choose a different seed because I've done that one before. So going Lone Wolf, Maudlings, map seed. We'll choose Vinland. I like it. Everything else is the same though. Helson, thank you very much for the bribe. Insert bribe here. Does that mean that I can choose what you're bribing me for? I'm going to say that you're bribing me to call this map Vinland. In most games, if you're undead are really easy to kill, here they just run you over. Yes. Yes, they do. Hey, Mordred, never seen this game before. What's its premise? You run a mercenary company, and it's all about how you do as the mercenaries. Okay, this does not look familiar. I mean, it looks similar, but definitely not the same. It's even a Hellstadt. There you go. You've got a city named after you, Helson. What more could you want? And it's owned by this noble house. I really hope that's like House Noble. House Hell or something like that. Yeah, this one feels different. I mean, similar, but different. So, we start in Hunneborg. That's us right there. It's morning. We have 900 crowns to our name, 25 food, 10 tools and supplies, no ammunition, and then 6 medical supplies. Money is used for wages and for buying gear and also hiring people. Food is obviously to feed people. Tools are used to repair equipment as it gets damaged. Ammunition replenishes ammunition as you fire it off. And then medical supplies allow you to actually heal and recover from wounds. We are in Hunneberg. There is an ore smelter which allows us to get high quality weapons and armor. There is a workshop which is a source of tools and other supplies. A trapper gives us access to furs. There's a ruin. Part of a nearby settlement, now burned down, abandoned ruins. This is something that can actually be rebuilt. This is actually a huge city. And then a barracks, a large barracks for hosting professional soldiers. Okay, so this is a great start, actually. This large citadel looks wide over the endless snow and is a stronghold against anything that may come down from the far north. As people flock to its protection over the years, many houses and workshops in the vicinity now also grant shelter and supply to travellers, mercenaries and adventurers in the area. How do I go here? There we go. We're in the city now. So it has a keep, which I think means a noble house is present. There are locked contracts, that's a noble contract. There's a weaponsmith, a training hall, an armourer, marketplace. You can hire people, and there's also a tavern. So the first thing I want to do is go and see if we can hire anybody. So there are a couple of recruits here, a couple of very high quality ones. So as I was saying, you can get like ex-nobles or veteran warriors, and they'll usually be the very high priced people who also demand a very high wage. Or you can pick up a bunch of peasants, which is basically people like Volmar here. Very cheap, don't cost a lot, and they're usually not as high quality in terms of the gear they come with, or in terms of like their base skills. Not all people in this are created equal. Insert more bribing. Thank you, Stubbers. Let the bribes flow. I think this is going to go on a not first come first serve, but rather grease my palms and you get higher access, something like that, probably. Tall soldiers only, though. This is going to be interesting. If you get injured, be ready to fight wounded. Yes, or just back off. So this is the roster. We can literally only have 12 people. So nobody in the reserves. What's here is what fights. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is rename you. And this is not Cunibert the Lone Wolf. This is Mordred the Viking. And we start out with a bassinet with mail, which is 210 armor. Hell yeah, a longsword and also a sellsword's armor. I don't know for sure if I'll stay as a two-handed soldier. I might do. I probably switch to a sword and board. In fact, if we have a look at the skills that we have, we are good with fatigue, so we get exhausted a lot slower. We have excellent melee skill. You can see by the number of stars how good we are. And then we also have melee defense, so this looks to me a little bit more like a tank than it does necessarily a stabby person. Or hacky as it would be in that instance. We also have 3 perk slots, which we have not yet used. We'll come back to that once we've decided who exactly we're going to recruit. I hope they really expand this game. It has so much potential. Well, that's what the 2 expansions did. So I would think so. Can you try out peasants, and if they die, well, accidents happen? Yes, absolutely. If this guy dies, the game ends. The tougher you make him, the better. Yes. And yeah, I know the stars determine how much you get and level up, so it's usually a good indicator of what you'll be leveling up in. You don't you're not limited to those stats, but those are the best ones to level up in. Okay, so who do we have here? I'm only going to look through the ones I can actually afford, so like all of these are out. Erebold could be a choice. We don't know the traits. You can pay for a tryout. Oh, yes. How much is the tryout? 36. And the tryout fee does go up depending on the characters. Disease, the ultimate invisible hand. Volmar hails from a tiny village that now stands as a mere footnote, wasting little of the historian's ink, but Volmar is a survivor. His home ablaze, he saved what he could and fled. A horrific history scars his body and glazes his eyes, but the man is easily motivated to never experience that past again. We've got Adelmar. A coward attacks a man when he's down. A grave robber attracts a man when he's really down. For entertainment, in a boring life, Adelmar is known to visit the murky gastrons of graveyards. The man is quiet. We can't chop him up about the graveyard, so he sounds a bit creepy to me. So I'll probably skip him. Oh, and we can see the backgrounds as well. So this guy is a refugee. Refugees lack the conviction to fight for their homes, but they are used to long and exhausted travel by now. So refugees will probably start with less morale, but have higher fatigue thresholds. While the grave robbers are not faint of heart, he's going to have a very high morale. We've got Hendrik. Working on and off, Hendrik is known as a daytiler. Somebody to ask whenever an extra hand is needed. Hendrik lost his loved one to sickness, as befall many these days, and broke down. After weeks blurred by drinking his sorrows away, a travelling mercenary company seemed a good opportunity to clear his head. And he is a day tailor. Day tailors are used to all kinds of physical work, but don't excel in any. So he's going to be like a good all-rounder. We've got Wilfried, a coward. Oh, he's also another grave robber. He's identical, although he's quite a lot cheaper. He has a higher wage, but cheaper initial recruitment. Probably because the gear that Adelmar starts with is higher quality. And then there's also Eberald the rat catcher, who is a rat catcher. Rat catchers need to have quick reflexes to catch their prey, so he's probably going to be better at shooting, for example. Catcher of Rats, that's the title Eberald once preferred. He grew up in Hunneborg, surviving alongside the Furry and the Furry and the Scuttling. That is in fact what that is saying. Surviving alongside the Furry and Scuttling as well as some rats, his mother demanded the finest meats he could find, and she didn't mean from the market. But Hunneberg wears on people, and it wore on Eberald like a giant nibbling creature. Sensing that there was more to life than rats, Eberald now seeks to dish up some rat soup, rat salad, rat kebab, rat bread, rat stew, rat chicken, rat wine. After a while, you just stop listening. So I think I am going to spend some of my hard-earned money on tryouts. Adelmar seemed... No, not Adelmar. Hendrik. I like the sound of Hendrik. He sounds like the most sane of this entire group, so we're going to try him out. We're going to see what his trait is. He's swift. Character is naturally swift and agile and has an easier time dodging incoming projectiles. So he has an additional range defense. So yes, Hendrik is absolutely worth hiring. We'll get him. And then maybe one more person. I think that Adelmar might be slightly too expensive for us. So I think this is going to be between Wilfried and Volkmar. And I'm going to try them both out so we can see what they're all about. So Volmar is dexterous and short-sighted. So +5 melee skill, -1 vision. Well, melee skill means that he's going to be sitting in the front row. So that's not necessarily bad. And then Wilfried, Eagle Eyes, +1 vision, and Sure Footing, +5 melee defense. So he's more tanky and can see further. Considering he has a penalty and he doesn't, I think we're going to go with Wilfried. A coward attacks a man when he's down. A grave robber attacks a man when he's really down. After many lonely nights in hermitry, Wilfried is said to have taken up dancing with the dead. He wears a plain necklace with a subtle off-white colour, best described as bone. Well, Dance of the Dead is an amazing Iron Maiden song, so I'm perfectly happy to have someone who dances with the dead on our side. So we have now got 3 members of the party. We have Mordred, the Viking, we have Wilfried, and we have Henrik. So if we just go and put them either side. Henrik currently has no weapon, so we're going to need to get something for you. And Wilfried is currently using a knife, so we're going to need to try and get some better gear. And also names. Now, seeing as I've already been bribed by 2 people, I'm going to let you choose. Helson and Stubbers. Which would you prefer? Would you prefer Wilfried the all-rounder? No, Hendrik the all-rounder or Wilfried the grave robber? Speak now, and I'll go with whoever speaks first. You want Wilfried. Okay, so this is going to be Helson. And then this is going to be Stubbers. Now, as is the case with other games, you need to earn your second name, your title, like the Viking. In fact, I'm not even the Viking. I'm the same. I have to earn my title. When you guys feel like Mordred has earned his title, you let me know. And that's going to be dependent on like their actions in the game. Like if they run away all the time, they'll be the coward. If they actually put up a fight. And I think level 3 is when you earn your title. So at level 3, when you hit level 3, we'll have a discussion. We'll talk about exactly what the title should be. And if they haven't earned one, then they haven't earned one. That's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick save here. So we have like a start point. New save game. Oh, you can see when I played this last. 6th of June 2017. Almost exactly 2 years ago. These are... Oh, it was the Army Without State. I remember. That was a good name, actually, with the Teutonic Order. So these are the Maudlings. And I need to level up, because I am indeed a level 4. And we need to choose what perks I have. So, we have Fast Adaption. Adapt to your opponent's moves, gain an additional stacking +8 chance to hit with each attack that misses an opponent. Bonus is reset upon landing a hit. Crippling Strikes. Cripple your enemies, lowers the threshold to inflict injuries by 33% for both melee and ranged attacks. Colossus, bring it on! Hit points are increased by 25%, which also reduces the chance to sustain debilitating injuries when being hit. Considering Mordred is someone who has to survive, Colossus sounds good. Once per battle, upon receiving a killing blow, survive instead with a few hit points left. The next blow is likely to kill you for good, of course. Possibly also useful. Unlock 2 extra bag slots to carry all your favourite things. Items placed in bags no longer give a penalty to maximum fatigue, except for two-handed weapons. Pathfinder, learn to move on difficult terrain. Action points cost for movement and all terrain is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 2 per tile, and fatigue cost is reduced to half. Changing height levels has no additional action cost anymore. That's really good for archers. Unlocks the Adrenaline skill, which puts you first in the turn order for the next round. To have another turn before your enemies do. Feel the adrenaline rushing through your veins. Recover unlocks the Recover skill, which allows resting for a turn in order to reduce accumulated fatigue by 50%. Students, everything can be learned if you put your mind to it. Gain an additional 20% experience from battle. At the 11th character level, you gain an additional perk point, and this skill becomes inert. So I'm thinking Colossus, Student, and then other stuff. Company motto is, last one to die loses. Oh, and we also have skills. Background, Hedge Knight. A wandering Hedge Knight, you are a veteran of jousting and sparring tournaments. You are also a veteran of victory. 'Tis a scary thought for many, but if there are anything at all that turned your eye towards mercenary work, it was boredom. Outwardly, you state it was for the coin, but part of you knows it's also for the company. Player character, +10 resolve. This is your player character, or, in other words, yourself. If he dies, your campaign ends. You can't dismiss him, and he'll never desert you. Gluttonous. Tasty. Let's have another one. Better bring extra provisions when travelling with this character, and expect them to leave fast if you ever run out of provisions entirely. Dexterous. Dexterous character has an easier time hitting opponents in melee. And we are currently content. Okay, so we are going to go Colossus. I'm going to go Student, just because I think every character basically wants Student. And then we can choose one more perk. Executioner inflicts 20% damage against targets that have sustained any injuries, like a broken arm. Bullseye, nailed it! The penalty to hit chance when shooting at a target you have no clear line of sight to fire is reduced from 75 to 50 for ranged weapons. Dodge, too fast for you, gain 15% of the character's current initiative as a bonus for melee and ranged defense. An Iron Will is not swayed when the true path easily resolved is increased by 25%. Keep it together, any negative status effect with a finite duration, e.g. Bleeding Charmed has a duration reduced by 1 turn. Oh, to 1 turn. Steel Bluff Brow. Hits to the head no longer cause critical damage to the character, which also lowers the risk of sustaining debilitating head injury significantly. Quick Hands, looking for this, swapping any item in battle except for shields becomes a free action with no action cost once per turn. Gifted. Mercenary life comes easy to you when you're naturally gifted. Instantly gain a level up to increase this character's attributes to the maximum rolls, but without talents. Backstabber. Honor doesn't win you fights. Stabbing the enemy where it hurts does. Bonus to hit chance and melee is doubled to +10 for each ally surrounding and distracting a target. Anticipation. When being attacked by ranged weapons, gain 1 to 10 of your base ranged defense as additional ranged defense per tile the attacker is away. Shield Expert. Learn to better deflect hits to the side instead of blocking them head on. The shield defense bonus is increased by 25%. This also applies to the additional defense bonus of the shield wall skill. Shield damage received is reduced by 50% to a minimum of 1. Knockback skill gains +15% chance to hit. Brawny, fatigue and initiative penalty from wearing armor and helmet is reduced by 25%. Don't slow down, all times your initiative is reduced by only 50% for your accumulated fatigue instead of all of it. Unlocks a rotation skill which allows 2 characters to switch places while ignoring zone of control, as long as neither character is stunned, rooted or otherwise blocked. Unlocks the rally skill which can rally fleeing allies and raise morale of all nearby allies to a steady level. The higher the resolve of the character using the skill, the higher the chance to succeed. So rally the troops is probably something we will want to get eventually. Unlocks the taunt skill, which makes the targeted opponent take offensive actions instead of defensive ones, and attack the taunting character over another potentially more vulnerable one. May also want taunt. So I think in the future we're going to want Shield Expert, because I do think we're going to make Mordred into a sword and board. Right now, I'm very tempted to take Gifted, because it means that we can get extra skills.